Well, hello class. Today we're going to paint a picture of a pineapple. Something like this. It's going to be really fun because when I was little, I remember I tried to draw a pineapple and I drew something more like this. And it was just like even cross-hatching. But with a pineapple, it is uneven cross-hatching because it's Fibonacci. So the line might go from this corner of the pineapple all the way up to the top, and on this side it's going to go down like that. So we're going to have fun drawing this pineapple and painting it today, and we'll see. I would love to see what you end up doing. Okay, let me turn this so you can see. So with my trusty little picture right here, I'm going to use that as a guide, and I'm going to sketch this out in yellow first. And I am using my homemade paints that are just milk and food coloring. So I'm just using something light so that if I make a mistake, I can change it up later. So first of all, just an oval. And then we're going to take one line from the right hand corner and we're going to go kind of in a curved motion up to the top. And then we're going to kind of just follow this curve below it and above it. And then we're going to start from the left hand corner and we're going to do a curve maybe just like halfway through. Like this, and then we'll start connecting up these lines. And then we're also going to do a fun shape. Let me see which one I did it on. Okay, so if you can see, each part of the pineapple has a cool like little fin-like shape. So we're going to amend these diamond shapes, and they still have a little bit of a pointy top, but each piece is curved, and you see the top part of this curve is the bottom part of this curve of this little fin-like shape. So they all interconnect. Super, super fun. So we'll just go through and do all those. And then on the top where the leaves come out, same thing. Super cool. So we are going to start over here and make a little leaf shape. And we're going to go up in a diagonal. As it gets taller, the leaves get a little bigger. And then I'm going to take this out to the left. Some leaves out to the left. And then our leaves to the right. And we'll just add a few more coming off the side. We don't really know where they're coming from, but we'll just add those in. Next, for the pineapple, it's all gonna have a yellow center. So we're just gonna go through and put yellow in the middle of each one of these fin-like shapes. And then the outside is all going to be a little bit orangish brown. So I'm going to start with orange going around each part of the yellow, and then next to that I'll shade in the brown. And I'll just do this really quickly, and you can add in your details later. I always like to go really quickly at first and then just go back after it's dried and add in some final touches. So you could do the same too, but this will just be enough to get started on the pineapple. And I love working wet and wet because then the colors kind of run together and do some unexpected things, and That just adds to the beauty of the pineapple. So we're gonna leave this to dry just for a little bit while we work on the leaves. I'm gonna rinse out my brush. And the leaves, the same thing. They're all yellow on the tips. So we're gonna go through and put yellow on all the tips of the pineapple. And then right next to that, we'll put in our green. And some of it is running, and that's okay. We'll just let it do what it wants. If it really ends up to be something that we don't like, this paint lifts out really well, just like watercolor does, and gouache. Okay, and I'll let that sit for just a minute, and I'm going to go back to my pineapple, and I've mixed up some brownish reddish color on my palette, and I'm going to go just on the outside. We'll see if it's dry enough to do this. If it's not, then we'll wait. I'm just going to go around and define each shape. With this. And if you want to make one side of your pineapple darker, let's just say the light source is coming from this side, from the left side. I'm gonna not dip my paint in the brown again, and I'm going to just let it get lighter. And on the other side, I will dip it in again. We'll get darker over here. But a little bit of the light will kind of creep around the other side too. And then I'm going to blend in this darker side a little bit more into the center. And then in between, it does get a little bit light again, but I'm just gonna let that sit for a little bit and let that dry and work on the leaves again. And this time I'm gonna come in with a little blue-green. So I'm gonna mix a little blue into my green, and I'm gonna come in at the base of the leaves. So we'll go in and do that with all of them. And if it's still wet, just know that it will run into the other. So we'll see how this works. Lots of times I like to leave a little bit of a white spot in between, and then it won't run. But then sometimes we want it to run, so take it right up next to the wet. So I'll let you decide with your picture what you want to do. Okay, I'll let that dry a little bit. I'm gonna come back to the pineapple, and gonna put in the in-between part. And I'm gonna take just the yellow that I already did, and I'm going to get rid of some of these white spots. So, especially on my darker side. On the lighter side, I can leave some, and they can be little reflection spots where the sun is reflecting off of the pineapple. Okay, so this is coming along really good. We're gonna let that dry for a second, and now I'm gonna do my background. And this pineapple probably would like to be maybe at the ocean. We'll see. I'm gonna put in this blue right here, and I'm gonna fade this in to a little bit of brown because it is sitting on the beach here. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna have, since my sun is coming in this way, this is gonna be my shadow. And I'll make a little bit lighter sand over here. And at one point, the sand is going to meet the water. So I'll get the sand a little bit lighter as it goes up, and the water is going to be darkest at the horizon. So I'm going to add a little bit more blue up here, and then I'm going to bring the water just a little bit lighter as it comes towards the shore. We'll let that kind of merge. Okay, now for this, the sky is going to be darkest at the top. So I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to try to be careful to stay away from the edges of my leaves so I don't run into that. If I do, that's okay, because the sky actually gets a little warmer as it gets towards the horizon. So if we get a little bit of yellow into our horizon, that will work for us just fine. I got a lot of yellow in here. All right. So that's what our paper towel is for. We can always blot up anything that we don't like. And I may just make those into more leaves up there. That will work. I always figure if I make something at first that I think, oh, that was a mistake, and make that into something nice. I'm just gonna get lighter and lighter as I get towards the horizon. Sometimes on a real clear day, especially in the tropics, the blue comes all the way down. But if there's any moisture in the air, it's always gonna get lighter as it gets towards the horizon. And a good rule for any picture is about a third light, a third dark, and a third medium. So here we have our pineapple, and that's going to have our third dark. Our background is going to have and our sky is going to have the other 2/3. So it's going to be like a third medium and a third light. So that will be a good way of dividing up the lights and the darks in the picture. So I'm just going to go back in and give this side a little more definition with the dark. And for our shadow too, and add a little dark right but where the pineapple shadow is. And then I'm gonna bring this in with a little bit of orange, so we have less yellow on this side. And then on the top, I'm going to mix more blue in with my green, and I'm going to have this help me define some of my leaves. So at the base, I want it the darkest, but I want it to just come up and touch the tops of the other leaves. So I want to be really aware of where my leaves right below the leaf I'm doing is showing, so that I can keep the shadow just where I want it. So if I'm just coming along the top of each leaf and then working up from there. And then I will come back after this is all dry and add in a few more defining points and details. And I will post that because really, I'm doing this really fast. But lots of times what I like to do is even paint something one day and then wait till the next and then clean it up a little bit. So you could do that too. It's nice to get started on a painting and just feel like you did something almost done. So the things that I'll do is I'll come in and put in a few more shadow lines. And then if I need to lift out any color, then I will do that too. And when I lift out color, I usually take like a real scrubby brush like this and dip it in water or milk. And then let's just say I want to lift this out. So I would just scrub it a little bit and then lift it out with my paper towel. Like that. Okay. And like always, it's the finishing that makes it look better than just the starting. So the longer you take finishing it, the more detailed it's going to be. And right now what I'm doing is I'm just scrubbing out some of it just so that it can be a little more blended. And then this is, you know, maybe too wet to do some of the detail with. But so I'll show you more what I did with the detail, but I might like outline some of these leaves so they define more, and then I'll go in and add some deeper shadows, which I can't do right now because it's just too wet. But oh, look at this, we got a little wave coming up on the shore, so that might actually be kind of fun. And then if I think like, oh, I did not preserve the whites that I wanted, then I'll go back in and I will add a little white acrylic paint to that. You can always go in and with water or milk and blend in between. Like if you got some hard lines that you didn't want, you can always do that. And of course, in our horizon for our beach, we want to add in a little bit of, not very much, just a little bit of red. So that looks a little bit more like water. So here you have the beginnings of a great pineapple. So hope you enjoy, and I will see you next week. Thanks.